obviously live here from the Dirty Mo Media studio, and you're on our Dirty Mo Media YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, have a lot of fun while we're here. We want to get this Ask Junior kicked off with a thank you to Xfinity Mobile. You know that the speeds these days are booming with Xfinity Wi-Fi. As fast as a V8 engine and as reliable as an elite pit crew. A lot of racing puns.
Booming.
Yeah. Xfinity Wi-Fi gives you the power and speed of NASCAR in your home. Choose the right plan for you, and you're off to the races with the best streaming experience for NASCAR and all your favorite sports or video games or anything else. Music. Man, I've got this Xfinity internet at my house, and it's working pretty awesome.
Booming.
Yeah, booming. I've had all kinds of, I've talked about this every time, man, but I got to just do it because it's my own personal experience.
Well, that's
I've got,
good.
yeah, I've got my ring cams and the cams for the girls' bedrooms, their baby cams. We still use those, which I'm kind of I'm debating on like time to take them out. Might be. Yeah.
Nicole's sneaky. I don't know if
I know.
I'd take hers
Yeah,
out
I might
yet.
keep Nicole's in there. But we have like probably, I don't know, 30 pieces, 30 different connections to the Wi-Fi between TVs and all the different stuff.
Yeah.
And not only is it strong enough to handle all of the bandwidth, but it never drops. It never goes down. And I mean, we are at the end of the line.
So you're saying it's very reliable.
Yeah, it's very reliable. Xfinity Wi-Fi. Don't just raise the bar. Their streaming service is in overdrive. Xfinity, they're a proud partner of NASCAR. We talked a lot about Rockingham, the Xfinity race, Rockingham, the track. We debated about where I guess NASCAR is going to take us back to Homestead for the championship race next year, 2026, and then after that, it's going somewhere different. Where should it go? We talked about the Hall of Fame a little bit. They got a new class that's getting voted in. There's some nominees to decide on who gets in, who doesn't. We discussed that a little bit. Not an easy decision.
Apparently, Cletus has posted
Video?
the video of the Swans. And, the chat is got lots of questions. One of them was just, I know we talked about it briefly,
Let's
but we'll
talk
do it
about it.
for the chat here. How's Amy dealing with the Swans? Somebody wanted to know.
Amy loves the Swans. So Cletus came by yesterday, gave me a gift. If you want to watch this video, it's on his YouTube handle. I guess it's released. But it's pretty funny. They went and bought these campers that they're going to stay in at Talladega when he goes there for the ARCA race. And you had to spend less than $5,000 on your campers. They're rough. And but they're going to drive them all the way to Talladega. And they stopped by the house yesterday after running their campers at the drag strip in Mooresville. And he said, I got a gift for you. And so in the back of this truck were 2 swans. He's got swans. Somebody gave him swans as a gift just recently. And so we put them down in the pond, and they're kicking ass. I went by there this morning. Me and Isla dropped off some swan food, and I'll go see them this afternoon.
The girls are probably going to love having
The
them.
girls are in love. They're majestic, beautiful, big old animals. And Amy thought it was awesome. And so we're challenging everybody when you watch the episode later. Comment how we should thank Cletus. That would be a nice gift in return.
Yep.
Family-oriented gift.
Yeah, it's got. I mean, if he gives a gift that everybody loved, you got it.
Yeah.
First question: you mentioned going after Kurt Busch at Rockingham last week. Was there ever a time you wrecked someone and knew they were coming for you?
No, not that I can remember. Let me think about that. Yeah. Well, I was a bit surprised by this one. I think the only one I can remember, this probably never happened in my Xfinity career or my Cup career, but I was racing late models, and there was a guy named Jerry Williams that won the Mid-Atlantic Championship one year. So he was a good racer, and had some good years and won a lot of races around the South Carolina area. Anyways, we was running about 150 lapper at Myrtle Beach one night, and I'm pretty green still. Only got about maybe a year late model racing under my belt. It's actually my first year, honestly. We get down in the corner, down into turn one, and I just got in there a little too deep and hit him in the left rear and spun us both out. It bent my drag link, so that's how hard I hit him. So I'm out of the race, and I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he's out as well. But he was mad. I didn't really realize how mad he was. Went down there a couple weeks later, and I am a half a lap ahead of second place. I've got 10 laps to go. I'm going to win this feature. It's a 100-lap feature at the beach. And I catch him going down the back straightaway, and he pulls to the inside. We go down into turn 3, and I see him, like, not making the corner. And I see him I drove all the way up to the wall to get away from him, and he still ran into me and spun me out. And I ended up running 4th, I think, in that race. But I was going to win that feature that night, and Jerry turned me in turn 3 and 4. And so, remember the Calvin piston stuff stickers?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like piston on a
Oh, yeah.
you know, Ford emblem or whatever. So I had those pictures of this out there. The last race of the year was the next race in November. All-American 400 used to happen down at the beach, South Carolina 400, that they call it today. And we would go down there, and the late model stocks ran a 200 lapper maybe, and then the All Pros also ran a 200 lap race. So it was a big event. A lot of late model stocks would show up, and I had that Calvin pissing on JW, his initials, on the C post of my car for that race. I was such a shit. Yeah.
Draft's coming up this week. Washington had a good season. Are you excited for the draft? Can do anything, or is there like a player that you hope they get?
The Commanders are like picking 29th or something like that, 28th, something way back.
Position for you.
What happens when you're decent?
So, yeah. So I'm not gonna put a lot of. I'm not gonna get all excited about it like when you got a
Yeah, it's not like you're getting the first round.
you get a
first
top
guy.
15 pick or a top 10 pick. You're like, all right, we gotta nail this one. This guy, we can't miss here. But I don't know. We may trade back and get some more picks because we don't have many picks. I think we only got 5 picks this year. So
TJ, what about the Bills?
You know, I don't know. They've drafted really well over the last handful of years with Brandon Bean and they've got like 10 picks, I think.
damn.
They've got a lot of picks and they got like 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and they got a lot of doubles of the mid-round picks. So I don't know if they'll trade. I think they'll start filling holes here on the defense and maybe look for some more weapons if something falls in their lap later late in the first. Or sometimes you can get some teams that want to trade into the first round and you can get quite a good repayment for it. So you trade back, but I like what they do. I'm always kind of surprised what they do. They never really do what I think they're going to do. So I'm excited to watch and see.
Yeah,
JBC says the Commanders need a defensive end.
we do. We need an edge rusher. We need an edge rusher and defenses. Yeah, we need some defense.
I think the Eagles showed why the defensive line and edge rushers are so important in the Super Bowl, getting after Mahomes as much as they did. And how about A.J. Brown's car getting stolen?
Yeah. Did he get it back? Because, I mean, he
I don't
basically
know.
told the guy, he's like, hey, if I find you, it is what it is.
It's gotta be hard to move like a really nice car.
I know, but I bet that thing was already in pieces
Cut to
when he
pieces.
sent that tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
he
don't think
get
he's
that
going
back.
to get that back.
I don't think so either.
Not a good way to wake up.
I will tell you, I had a car stolen once, and I got this hunting land and out in the Midwest, and next to the hunting land was this this home for troubled boys, right? And it's just like it's a place for for them to try to get their lives back on track. And I think the story is that one of the counselors there had decided that he wanted to go home. Not one of the boys that was staying there, but one of the counselors there. And he decided that he wanted to go home. And so he went over to where our farm was and took my truck. I got a Chevrolet farm truck, 200,000 miles on it. Just an old beat up truck that we drive around. Drove it 3 states away and left it in a Advance Auto Parts parking lot. And then what happened is I bought it back from the auction. So it went to a car auction, like a dealer, where a dealer would go and buy used cars. And so we learned about where the truck was, but we, I believe, already collected our insurance, and so the insurance company was going to send it to auction. And so we tracked it to that auction and ended up buying it back.
Did you make money off the deal? I think statute of limitations are up.
Maybe.
Speaking of cars, I think you said on Buzzing with the Boys that you only keep like 12 now, and if you're gonna get one, you have to get rid of.
Yeah.
Is there a car that you regret getting rid of?
No, not really. I don't like cars sitting around and not driving them, and because the tires get square.
Yeah, a lot of things.
Yeah, you jump in there. I got in a car one time to drive it to Martinsville, and man, I was fine, and then I got to the interstate. When I got up to like 70 miles an hour, that thing started shaking and bouncing the steering wheel, and I'm so mad. And not at nobody but myself. And I'm like, I can't. If the shit can't drive good, and I'm not driving it enough, I need to get rid of it. And so that's why I kind of keep it to a limit of a certain amount of cars. I just have stuff laying around that you don't use, kind of gives me anxiety. And but I think the one car that I want, that I hope to get one day, is probably a Buick Grand National. Or maybe a Monte Carlo SS, like the '87 Aero Coupe.
Good looking car.
Yeah.
People are putting in what they'd want: 68 Barracuda, 56 Chevy Bel Air.
Yep. All good.
All some good ones.
Yep.
Speaking of Rockingham being a standalone, when you were driving the Busch Series, what was your favorite standalone event where Cup Series didn't race?
Man, we did so many. That was something I wanted to bring up earlier in the show, but I didn't. Is this kind of what we need to be doing? Everybody seemed to really enjoy having the Xfinity Series be the one in the spotlight for the weekend, and it was a great weekend with a great racetrack and a revival of sorts for Rockingham. So that plays a big part of it. But I don't know if this is a financial model that could work for the team owners. So when we go to Indy, let's talk about Indy. This is a great example. When we were racing at Indianapolis let's just go back several years where things were really awesome. A lot of people going to the racetrack, right? But we would race at Indy with the big cars, the Cup cars. And then we raced at the IRP, ORP, whichever you want to call it, with the trucks in the Xfinity cars. And then they moved the Xfinity over to the big track. And a lot of people, there was a conversation of, man, I don't like this. I don't like the Indy. I don't like the Xfinity cars here. They put on a better race at IRP, the little half-mile short track. I want them to go back to that. We heard that loud and clear. It was a very, even today, I think people might argue that they'd rather see the Xfinity cars and the trucks race at IRP. And, but talking to team owners, like I am as well, my sister Kelly would tell me this too. She's like, we can't get a partner, a sponsor, to race at IRP. But if we take our car and race it at the big track, we've got people lined up that want to be on the car then. So the business model, just saying, man, listen, I love the idea of taking the trucks to South Boston and all these short tracks around the world. right? And maybe having of course, having a big Daytona and a big Charlotte, a couple big races, but running it primarily at, short track. I love that idea, but that ain't a good business model for the series or the owners. The owners can't really make that work. Now that doesn't really answer the question you're asking me, but it would be kind of cool to see the cars. Now that it doesn't really seem to matter, I guess, as much as it used to, in terms of like like we would take the Xfinity cars and race a companion event with NASCAR with the Cup Series, because we were leaning on that at track attendance and all of the great things that the Cup Series brought in terms of eyeballs and exposure. And I don't know if that's as critical today as it was back then, but Kelly might argue, we're not gonna advocate to go race at IRP because it puts on a better race when we can sell, $100,000 more sponsorship racing at Indy, the big track. And so I would love us to have standalone events. I would love us to go back to South Boston and some of those racetracks and have real 300 lap short track Xfinity races. Dude, I'd be all over that.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to keep it close to Cup, right, because of pit crews and stuff.
That's another great problem, right? If we separate from the Cup mothership, right, we lose exposure, we lose sponsorship dollars, we lose just a lot of attention that'd be around our event for that weekend. Crews, pitting cars, all that stuff becomes more challenging, more expensive, right? Teams are going to be flying people back and forth and around, right? So all of that would cost more. Yeah, so it does present challenges that we could just sit here and create a long list, I'm sure.
We have a fan said they're going to Talladega for the first time. Any recommendations on where they should go to eat?
Talladega?
Yeah.
Off the grill?
Yeah,
I didn't know if there's any hole-in-the-wall places down there.
I'm sure there are, but I
know,
never
TJ,
really.
if you've...
The town is not like next door,
No.
and so what's the next interstate?
Oxford and Anniston are the next ones
How
up.
far are they? They're like 30 minutes.
Nah, they're like just 15 to 20,
Yeah.
but they've grown up a lot. There's a lot of chain restaurants
Yeah.
there now.
No, man, I would just sit there and
You don't leave the track when you go
No.
there. That's a place you just stay.
yeah. So Talladega is, you're gonna go there, camp, get the Flatiron out, cooking breakfast, cooking lunch,
Yep.
cooking dinner, bring all the foods. That's the commitment. at
Love it.
Talladega.
I agree.
What's this is for both of you guys, sim race. What's one thing that translates from sim racing to actual racing the best?
Yeah, a lot.
Well, what's one that is the most?
I would say what I think sim racing can do for a young driver is develop racecraft. And when I say racecraft, that can mean a lot of things. But what I think, I'm going to put you in any race at Daytona and Talladega on the simulator and just turn you loose and just let you just make all kinds of bad decisions. Right, about getting in this line, pushing this person, getting this run, using this run, whatever, and we can sit there and I can sit there and let you run, because that racing online on the sim will put you in all of the same situations that you're going to face in the real car, and you're going to have to make these decisions and choices of what to do all the way, throughout the entire lap. And I think that the sim can help you cipher through choices that you shouldn't make and things you shouldn't do, so that you don't take those to the racetrack and actually do them in a real race. And so it'll teach you patience on your choices. It'll teach you to relax and not have to, not have to feel like you need to be doing all the time, creating opportunity for yourself. Sometimes, man, at those racetracks like Daytona, Talladega, the opportunities present themselves, right? If you just sit there and be patient, the opportunities are obvious, right in front of you.
Yeah, it just shows up.
Yeah, and so that's what happens too in sim racing. And And so I I think that the sim racing and racing online with iRacing can help you develop some of the early stages and the very cornerstone basics of what great racecraft is. And specifically at Daytona and Talladega. Now, when you go to race another race at a bigger track like Charlotte or even some of the smaller tracks, there's a patience required to be fast in iRacing, and it's more related to the tire and temperature and how to make a quick lap while also taking the best care of the tire you possibly can, so you have longevity and speed. And so there's a lot of basic patience and judgment and smarts that are developed in the sim, on the sim. And so, and I feel confident. Like 20 years ago, I would never think I can take this kid that's really fast and put him in a race car and in a couple of days have a pretty decent little, have a kid doing some pretty decent laps, right? I would never think that in the past because I just didn't think that the sim was creating the opportunity for the racecraft to be learned. But today, it is, because I think the kids that are on the sim are paying such close attention to the real thing. They try to emulate it, right? And then they also see a lot of mistakes get made on the sim and in the real world, and they try to emulate it. They know more. They're more savvy, and so it's impressive, man. I could get on the sim 10 years ago and drive right to the front at Talladega and Daytona and get on there and have fun and do well. It's tough and competitive in any field these days when you get on the sim, when you get on the rig.
It is.
Man, you hop in a race at Talladega and Daytona, you better be ready. And it's not as easy as it used to be. It's because everybody's just gotten smarter, you know?
Yep.
But, yeah, I think the sim is really good at just developing good judgment and choices and trying to get to the finish, trying to avoid all the mistakes and bad choices to get to see the finish.
TJ, what's something like you work with Carson?
I mean, there's other kids that I've worked with. A couple kids in the car store that have ran there, and you just work on passing and how to set up passes, and you don't have to run over a guy in the middle of the corner to pass him. You don't have to drive in there and be all over him. You can roll in there and start your pass on the exit and things like that. It's like patience. Like, you don't have to win the race every single corner. And
it's so funny, man. I will now I will watch. There are some kids that I say kids. There are some guys that have raced online. That's not like how they, learn to race cars, but they spend a ton of time racing online, and they don't seem to become better at choices and judgment. If they're, so there's like, you can learn your racecraft, but there's also people that it's just they just have an innate personality.
you have to apply it.
Right. And like I see some guys that'll get on the sim. They're regulars in either the truck or the Xfinity series, right? And they'll get on the sim and they drive a little carelessly. And then when they get in the real car, they drive the same way, and they don't seem to hadn't clicked in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with you. There's a couple real fast kids.
Yeah.
We say kids, but they're not kids really. But
yeah, they're fast, but like
it's not fine. It's not
yeah,
tuned all the way up.
it's hard to explain. It really is. But then there's people that learn to be smooth and really sharp on the rig, and then that's also the way they are on the real racetrack. And I don't know if they learn that on the rig and take it to the real racetrack, but or it's just sometimes it's just a personality trait. Some people just drive a certain way, and that's just who they are inside, and there's nothing you can do about that. Nothing, you can't change it. And they think there's nothing wrong with it. They think that that's just how they're supposed to do it.
Yeah. For a guy like Carson, he he's very young. He's really fast on iRacing. He knows where to be, and so the only thing you really do on there is try to create the scenarios that he might see in real life. You know, put cars around him in areas so when he's in that scenario, he already has an idea on what it's like. So they don't get a lot of practice time nowadays. So you try to put him in situations that might come up. So when that situation happens, he makes the best decision. You already know. You already have a notebook for it instead of having to learn it right then. So Carson's really fast on there, and he's super smooth too.
The road courses are perfect. So if you're, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. So I don't know if I'm telling you something that's completely obvious, but it might not be obvious to you. If you've never been to Road America or Road Atlanta or the Chicago Street Course, or if you're going to go run these racetracks, that time on your sim at home in iRacing is insanely valuable. Insane. And so I've told this story before, but we were back when I was teammates with Jimmy. We were testing at Road Atlanta and doing some road course stuff. And I'd never raced there. And Jimmy had to do something on the second day, and Chad called me and asked me if I would take the car. And I was like, hell yes. And then I was like, oh shit, man, I'm jumping in the car. And I've never run this track. I need to get up to speed. I don't want to waste usually when you go test, you waste the first half of the day just learning the track. And so I ran on the simulator for hours and hours the day before, and when I got there, I was within 3 or 4 tenths right off the track, right off the trailer with Jimmy. And so by noon, we were running identical time. They were like, "You've never been here? You can't." They couldn't believe that I'd never ran there. I was like, "No, man." But I was like, I ran on the simulator, and it's like deja vu. As soon as you pull out on the track, you're like, "Yep, I've been here before." And all the shift points were within 50 feet of each other, so I kind of knew where I needed to be with the shifter and the gears to be in for every corner. And so it was easy to get right up to it. And so if you're gonna go race at a road course,
Bro, this volcano is annoying to build.
I think
Dude, this shit looks like a
totality
headache.
of the world, like 85 or 90% of the tracks are road courses.
The enchantment
So I mean, it's very
place is
applicable
kind of
for
coming
all
along.
types of motorsports and drivers.
Dude,
that
these
are racing
bricks
in
are
motorsports in the world
taking
to
a while.
utilize iRacing to get themselves more familiar with those type of tracks. But for
What, to make
ovals,
or replace?
there's not
to
much
make?
learning the track. It's just
Oh,
the track's pretty
furnace has
straightforward.
turned
So I
off,
think
dang
the
it.
racecraft is where you can improve better judgment, better choices. So
Is this,
you're
like, Just from your mind, or are you following a tutorial, kinda?
No,
Alright, well, we'll wrap
I'm
it
just
up
making
for
it up as I go.
Ask Junior. That's it.
Yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Show will be out later today.
What are you doing with the volcano?
Thank you, Xfinity Mobile and
Still
Xfinity
placing
Wi-Fi.
Blackstone.
Following a tutorial.
Customers will get
Oh,
exclusive
no.
access with
There's this
Xfinity Mobile
TikTok that
to,
he did like a world tour,
the most powerful
and I
Wi-Fi
saw it,
network
and I was
on the
like,
go,
I'm
speeds
gonna
up
make
to a
something
gig.
like that.
Fast downloads for turn-by-turn action, smooth live streaming for fewer pit stops, and a strong connection from the parking lot to the grandstand. So for more laps and less lag, stay connected.
I'm really
So,
considering
thank
just
you,
going into
Xfinity.
creative and finishing
And,
this damn
appreciate
thing.
everybody
It's
for tuning
pissing me
in. It's
off.
gonna be a
No,
lot of fun this week. We've
what?
got a lot of great
Fuck,
shows
dude.
coming out.
I want to make it look
We'll see you
really
next time.
nice because it has the ability to, but it's taken so long to get all the resources for this.
We're clear.
Dude, this is probably gonna take me
Hey
another
everybody, it's Dale
week.
Jr. We're back
Don't
again
do
for another
that.
episode of the Dale Jr. Download here. The Allied guest segment. Got to thank Ally for everything they do for us here at the Dale Jr. Download. And
That's
they
what
brought
makes
us an
this world
Ally
look
this,
like
this morning,
perfect,
and
dude,
it's
and I
Tony
could
Uri
do
Sr.,
that,
my old
but,
crew chief.
Think about how cool it would be to do.
And I'm
Survivor.
excited to
That's
see what he's
so
doing,
much
see what he's
harder.
up to. I kind of know what he's been doing, but I'm not sure a lot of you know. And we're going to talk about the old days. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope he's in a great mood. Let's find out. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. All right, everybody, back again in the Dirty Mo Media studio here for the Allied guest segment. And Tony Uri Sr. is out in the lobby. He's going to be in here in a minute. And I've been a little bit nervous about this. He's just an intimidating guy. But I'm excited to talk to him and learn more about him. Tony Uri Sr. is like a grandfather to me. Either way you look at it, he's like a family member and somebody that I love very much. And we've had some tough times and we've had some good times. And he's not the easiest person to get to know. to be quite honest. So I'm trying to be up for the challenge today to try to get to know him even better. There's a bunch about him, that I'm intrigued by, and he's touched on some stories briefly over the course of our lives together. But I just he's not a guy that does a lot of bragging. He's not a guy that goes into real detail about stories and story. He's not a big storyteller. But he's honest, and no filter, and he's tough, real tough. And so looking forward to catching up with him. And usually when I'm around him, it's him and Tony Jr. and it's us and some of the other old team. Rarely are we in the room, just me and him. So this is going to be a treat for me. And let's get him in here and let's get started. All right, so we got Tony Sr. here at the table, and man, I'm thankful to have you here today. I've been trying to think of how I want to start this interview, but I still see you, and you're at the racetrack. You were at the racetrack this past weekend at Wilkesboro, and still going to the racetrack and kind of helping Tony Jr. with the Fury deal and a couple of cars that y'all got going on. But people want to know, what have you been up to?
Well, mostly that's about what I've been doing. I've been helping them out over there at Fury a little bit when I want to. I play golf every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday?
Every
With the
Wednesday.
same people?
Same people.
Yep.
We have a group of
Hello.
8. We play every Wednesday.
Yo,
So,
what happened?
You
Dude,
know,
there's a
just
bug in
kind of
here.
enjoying it a little bit. Help him out when
Oh.
I can. I've been going to the racetrack with them when they race. So,
Did you get it?
it's 11 or 12
Yeah, I
races
got
this
it.
year I've been
Yeah.
to.
What
So.
race?
And I still help John Boland them
sure.
out in Alabama a little bit,
We're
Pensacola,
supposed to speak to you.
Montgomery, but
They have a car in the
Right.
shop up this way.
no, it's all in Jasper.
Do you go down there?
No, they bring it up here.
Dang.
Dale,
Yeah.
Yeah, they bring it up here. We they don't bring it every time. They if they
Hello?
got damage or
What the
we need
heck?
to work on something, they bring it up.
Gotcha. And so Tony
Yeah.
Jr.'s still over at Fury,
and
and running that whole deal.
I was
right?
going to.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
pause that?
And so I went over there. I didn't know what it looked like, but I went over there and
Sorry, he has a YouTube video playing at max volume.
it's not at max volume.
I
it's
have
the
one
lowest
too.
Volume it'll
That's
go.
so weird. Do you know Cheyenne?
Yeah.
Mari.
Well, I don't know her, but I seen her.
Mari asked if she could come to our house Saturday because that's prom. I didn't realize prom was this weekend,
Yeah.
but do you kind of know who she is?
I know she swims. I've never said one word to her.
Okay, well, I mean, I told her yes because I didn't want to be like, no, and then leave her friend alone after prom, but I
Yeah.
just didn't know if you knew her. Like, I mean, I don't really care that much, but
All right.
okay, that's all.
Alrighty.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Can you go to bed?
Yeah. Do you have deep slate?
I don't think I have any. No. Wait, so you do know her or no?
I know who she is, but I've never spoken a word to her.
Dude, I'm not really liking all the new people coming over.
Yeah.
I mean, if they weren't drinking, I'd be fine with that. But everybody's like getting mega drunk, so it's like,
Yeah. It's kind of. Yeah.
yeah.
Bro, how do we not have deep slate?
Used it all on something.
Oh, I have some in here. Damn it.
What are you doing right now?
Building
An
the
incredible
volcano.
shot.
Wait, what?
Building the volcano.
Oh,
Now, mostly just modifieds and late models, left-handers or just left-handers. What's the projects these days?
Well, mostly right now they're doing the northern modified or the modified they're running in the south. They do those. They're doing a lot of those. That's picked up really a lot. The late model program is still going strong, and they have a little a road course car they build.
Yep. To
And,
Trans Am
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Trans Am car. They never could get it approved for Trans Am. They tried, they never got it approved, and so they got 2 manufacturers in there. They kind of got that locked down. They don't really want anybody else in there, but they do it for like a club car.
Yep.
They do that, so they don't they don't sell a whole lot of them. But they got a few of them out there. But the modified and late models keep them pretty busy.
Who's Spencer Davis?
Tony Jr. introduced me to him and said he was wanting to run
I'll be right back.
the house, and that was the first time I met him. And him and his daddy Scott, they're really good people, and we enjoyed racing with them all year.
Didn't he win the Wilkesboro race when they opened up Wilkesboro back?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never would have imagined that we would be both involved in a tour running grassroots racing at this part of our lives, and that our lives would somehow still be sort of connected. Why do you want to still go to the racetrack? I mean, you're at this point in your life to where you could just kind of do whatever you wanted, but what keeps you coming back?
Well, I'm not a person to sit at home, so I don't know. I just got to find something to do, and I'm a very competitive person.
Yeah.
My son's still involved in it. I get to be with him.
Was there a point in your life where you thought, I think I'm going to dial that way back?
Yeah, I did.
How'd that go? Is it something you're going to miss?
Well, yeah, I missed it, but I didn't miss it being on every weekend. You
No.
know, I was kind of, I was over that, but I did miss that competitive part of it, and it just seemed like that was something I wanted to do. I mean, they race like every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm
we'd
back.
be gone all the time. All of them close to home, so that's why I got involved in it.
Yeah. So I wanted to, had you and Tony Jr. on the show back in 2019. So it's been a little bit of time. We talked a little bit about your racing career. But since that time, this man came out with his book in the country on it, and it had a bunch of pictures in it. And it basically was a week-to-week count of the events, as good as this man could possibly do. And it gives you kind of a bit of an understanding about, like, what kind of year you had, or what kind of year your dad had, and what Ralph's seasons were like at Metrolina back then. And we talked about how you got your start in racing, but I want to understand, like, your dad brought a car every week, and you weren't a driver. You got an opportunity to race a little bit, and that convinced your dad to allow you to drive more, right? And so because what I'm kind of asking you is like the starts for you were kind of spotty and chosen, and not every week, right?
Yeah.
Why? Like, 'cause Dad was the same way. Dad would run a couple races, like when they built the new Concord Speedway, which is gone now. But when they built that track, and Ralph run there a little bit, but Dad would run a couple weeks and then not be there the next week. Why would y'all not run every single week?
Well, when I first started, I just helped my dad. He had one car, and I just helped him every week. Well, then it got to where we'd go to the racetrack. When I got old enough to drive, and to go to the racetrack, he'd say, "Take it out there and warm it up. Get it ready for me." So I'd get in it and go out and practice it.
Like hard?
Yeah, I just go out and practice it. And so I did that for probably a couple of years. So he'd say, "Just go out and practice it, get it ready." So I'd go out and practice it, and then he'd race it that way. So that went on for a couple of years, and then he decided he was going to build a new car. So he said, "I'm going to build me a new car. You want this old?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll take it." So that's when I started.
Bruh.
What?
They
One
looked
was
identical.
40 and 41.
The rain.
41. Both of them was orange.
Did y'all take good care of it? Was this car that you were getting in really good shape after
Yeah.
a couple years of racing?
Yeah. But the cars then wasn't like the cars today. You know, everything was stock.
Yeah.
You went to the junkyard and you got your drag links and your spindles and all that stuff. You didn't make them, or you didn't go buy them somewhere. You went to the junkyard, got them off the car. So the first year I drove, it was just like wreck after wreck. I just kept getting in wrecks, and he kept telling me, he goes like, I can't afford you.
Yeah.
He said, you're running the junkyard out of drag links. And I don't know, it was just like, he said, every time I see you wreck, you're on the brake. And we were dirt racing. And he said, every time you wreck, you're on the brake. You can't drive it when you're on the brake. And I don't know, it just clicked in my head one day. So they were wrecking in front of me one day, and I said, well, I didn't hit no brake, went right through it. And it was just like it clicked. And then I was fine after that. The quick tear stuff.
Yeah.
But I was pretty bad to start with.
So you bent it up and you just, wasn't in no rush to fix it.
No.
Right? You got back. Your dad was going to race. You had to get his car ready.
Yep.
You go to bed.
We had a
Yeah.
side on the wall. I took it to Tony Jr. here recently, but we had this old side of this car that belonged to Oliver. Was it David or David's daddy's car?
No, that was Danny Simmons' car.
Danny Simmons on that car, the
Right.
72.
Yeah.
I saw a guy did a model.
Brother, if we just
of this
keep
car
like
on
doing
Instagram
little
that I was
missions
sharing
and
a
then
couple
just
months ago.
building stuff, like that'd be our
And,
two
we
main things we
restored
do
it.
in this world. This shit's gonna be
And
like
we may have talked about this on the show
such a
in
good
2019,
world.
but I kind of want to refresh my memory a little bit.
It's gonna
That
last
was the very
forever.
last car you
for
raced.
real.
Yes.
What did you drive?
That's a lot of money though, dude.
Well,
$20 a month. We're gonna have to start sharing
my
this.
dad said he was
What?
done. He
I thought it was
said
8.
he wanted to
No,
just
it's like
cost too
20.
much.
And you were done.
20.
So
Yeah,
Why were you doing it?
he said, if you want to race, you can
it's
race.
worth it though,
Damn.
dude. So,
Well,
shit,
I didn't
fuck.
have
I
to race.
thought it was only 8.
Nah.
So I raced a few races there, and I said, I can't afford this.
How,
Yeah.
why? Were you working at Great Dane?
Yeah, I was working Great Dane.
Were you a
Yeah.
dad yet?
Yeah. I said, I can't afford this.
What'd you do? Sell the cars?
And so we just quit.
Sell everything?
No, it was all still sitting there in the shop.
Really?
So we went like I don't know, year or so. And me and my brother-in-law David, we decided we was gonna go to Concord and race one night. So we went out there, we got it ready to go.
Your car?
Yeah, went out there and got it ready to go. And we went into Concord, went down there and kicked the rod out of the motor, and blew the motor up. So we said, we're done for sure now. So Danny Simmons had that car, and I don't know what had happened. He had somebody driving it and they fell out or something. And he called me up and he said, come and see me. Come over and see me. So he didn't live far from where I was. So I just went over to his shop, walked in there. He said, I want you to drive his car. And said, will you drive it for me? I said, yeah, I'll drive it for you. But he was pretty much in the same shape I was.
Yeah.
He didn't have the money to be racing either.
Yeah.
So the two of us together, we went in there and put the car together. It was a piston car. I'd never drove anything like that. You know,
Yeah.
it was the tube frame and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Everything I'd ever drove was stock. So he asked me to drive that car, and so I didn't really run it that many races. I don't know, maybe 8 or 10. I think we won one.
Damn.
We won one with it, I
Yeah.
think.
I
And
thought
he
you
was-
only drove it once.
No, I drove it. I probably drove it 8 or 10 times. Yeah. And I think we won one race.
It
with
had a wind sticker on
Yeah,
it.
we won one race with it, and then we blew the motor up in it. And Danny said, I ain't got the money to fix it. I said, I ain't got the money either. And so it just sat there, and then I guess he had a balance with Tom over there or
Tom
something.
come and
And
repossessed
so he told Tom, he said, I'll just give you this car back, you'll wipe my foot off. So Tom thought he could just take it and just sell it and get his money right out of it. And then he took it over there and he couldn't ever sell it.
Yeah. It ended up sitting in a dirt floor barn somewhere, and when we got it, it was below the frame rails in the dirt.
Yeah.
And I remember when we brought that car to the shop, I honestly had we got about 3/4 of the way restoring it, and I thought, I wonder how important or how even memorable this car is to Tony Sr. because we couldn't ask you.
Mhm.
We don't want to ruin the surprise. And Tony Jr. wasn't really sure. Had your name on it, and they said it was the last car you drove. But what would you think when we pulled that thing? Did you know what was coming in that garage when we opened that door?
Nope, I didn't have a clue.
Did you think that? What did you think about that car when you saw it?
I couldn't believe it was back.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't ever really know what happened to it.
Yeah.
I had pulled up to your shop one day at the farm,
Yes.
and Willie was in the shop. I don't even remember what I went over there for. And I seen Willie running to cover something up. Willie grabbed the cover and covered it up before I even got out of the
Yeah.
truck. And I went in there, and I never had a clue that was it. But
Yeah.
that was it. He
Yes.
covered it up that day.
Yeah.
But I almost seen it.
Yeah. No, that was fun. You got a little emotional, and so I felt like, and we had the helmet and everything, but I felt like I was like, hey, it matters to him enough that he's, you rarely did get emotional about anything. But that car is still sitting over in the North Carolina Hall of Fame, or North Carolina Motorsports Hall of Fame, I believe, somewhere in Mooresville. If you go over down 150, if anybody ever wants to go see it, pretty neat little race car. The other things that we talked about on the show years ago was hanging out with Dad when y'all were young. I was telling the guys earlier about y'all chopping springs in the car when y'all were cruising downtown and saw somebody with a better attitude, and y'all take the car back to the shop and chop it up. And just hanging out with Dad when he was young, and you and him dating sisters and ended up marrying sisters, and how hard or difficult was the decision to go work for him? So you were still at Great Dane,
Yes.
had worked there for years. You had all this equity and all this, this was not like, oh, hell yeah, I'll go work for Dale. This is awesome. Because Dad's shop, his workplace was that little 2-car garage house next to Memo's. Now, he might have told you had a plan for building a bigger shop, but this is not as cut and dried, easy as it sounds, I imagine.
Yeah. Really, when I went to work for him, there really wasn't any plans to build another shop. I mean, we did, I'd worked for him for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years while I was still working at Great Dane. But I'd leave work every day, leave Charlotte at 4 o'clock, and I'd go straight over there. And we'd work 10 or 11 o'clock at night and go home and take a shower and do it again, go to work and do the same thing the next day.
Yeah.
Well, I had a really good boss man over there. He loved racing. And I just go out there and say, we're going to race. I'm going to be gone Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. Okay, go ahead. He didn't care.
Yeah.
Because he loved it. He said, hey, you're doing what you love. Go ahead. And we were getting ready to go to Daytona. And he said something to me the year before about going to work for him. And I said, I can't do it like that. He says, why are you going to stay at Great Dane the rest of your life? And I said, no. I said, I got to get my 15 years in. I said, I'm at 14, a little over 14. And I said, if I don't go to 15, I said, I got a little bit of a retirement deal that's going on there. I said, if I work 15 years, I get a retirement fund. And I said, as long as I don't go to work at another trailer place. And I said, I can still go to the races. I can work. We just need to make this work.
Yeah.
Okay. So we just kept on doing the same thing, and Rick was there all day. He'd run and get parts, and he'd have everything that we needed by the time I got there. So I think I went. It might have been 2 years. So that may have been in '84, I guess, when he said that. So I think we went 2 years like that. So I had 16 years in at Great Dane, and still had no intention. He hadn't mentioned it again. Well, we was getting ready to go to Daytona. The car wasn't done. Well, him and Teresa went to St. Thomas, and I think it might have been their honeymoon.
Yes, sir.
It was their honeymoon.
Yeah.
So they were in St. Thomas, and he calls me up. He had that bag phone. He was out on the beach with that bag phone. That's the bag phone. Yeah. calls me up and he's sitting on the beach and he won't know if that car's done. I went like, no, it ain't done. And he goes like, we gonna get it done? I said, I don't know. I got a job. I have to work every day. And he says, you just need to go to work for me. And I said, well, we'll talk about it. But I said, right now I gotta go to work. He goes like, well, you just need to go tell Blackman, because he knew Blackman, my boss, because he had worked there, you know.
Yeah.
He said, you just need to go tell Blackman, you got to take a week off or you got to get that car ready. And so I went to work and I told Blackman, I said, he's all over me because that car ain't done. I said, now you want me to go to work for it and all that? Blackman said, well, I don't know why you don't. I said, that's what you love anyway. That's what you need to go do.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. I don't know if that's what I'm going to do or not. So I took a couple of days off, went over there, we got the car done. And he come back and he says, you just need to go in there and quit. Just go in there and quit. And I said, no, I ain't going in there and quit. I'll go in there and give him a notice. I ain't going to walk in there and quit. So he says, that's what you need to do. I said, no, I ain't going to do it. I'm going to give him a notice. So I went in there and I walked in there and I told him I was giving him a notice. Blackman said, you ain't giving me no notice. Get on out of here. So he said, go on. I said, I ain't wanting to burn no bridges. I'm going to have to come back here someday. He goes like, just go on. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I remember going into the shop. This feels like the first day you were there. I begged Daddy to take me with him, and I got to go sometimes to that shop over at Grandma's back then. And we walked in there, and you, and maybe Rick Boss, but you and someone else was underneath the rear end of this brand new car. And it might have been that blue one from, I guess, 82, 83, I don't know. But, or 84. And, but y'all were underneath the car, and Dad walks in. What do you know, what's going on? Y'all were talking about something with the rear end or something, the trailing arms or something like that. Y'all were, y'all sorted it out, figured it out. And I remember asking Dad, who's that? Who's that guy? And he's like, that's Tony Senior. That's he's here. He come to work. He's coming to work.
Here you go to bed.
And I just remember
Yeah.
that very.
Damn, it got dark in like 2 seconds.
But I remember it being like the first day that I saw you in the shop during the daylight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how was that
I'll be right back.
All right.
transition for you? How did you and Dad handle the? He's hard. You're both authoritative, people. I know you knew him, you grew up with him, but in a work environment, it changes a little bit. You have a strong opinion about something, but he does too. How did y'all manage to make it work?
I don't know that we ever had a problem,
Yeah.
We worked pretty good together. I mean, there was one way to do something,
I'm back.
and then there was two ways
Alright.
to do it. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did he win out most of the time?
he would win most of the time. He might have to wiggle it a little bit. He'd respect our opinions and stuff, but I don't think he ever really wanted to admit that he used something that was our idea
Yeah.
or whatever. But we never had a problem. We worked good together. He was a hell of a nice guy to work for. I mean, really, he had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
I asked him for a raise one day. He gave me a pickup truck. He said, I can't afford to give you a raise. I'll give you a pickup truck.
That seems backwards.
He said, you need a truck. You ain't got a truck. So he gives me a truck.
You had that little, what was that, Toyota?
Yeah, that was it.
God almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the best times for me back in those days was at 5 o'clock, especially when the big shop got built, the Deerhead shop. You guys would be in there. Dad would be doing whatever he was supposed to be doing, whether he might even be on the property or somewhere working on the farm or whatever, up until 5 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock, it's like everybody gathered around a picnic table. Might drink some beer, Dad might make them a Five Alive and an Absolute or something like that. And you just bench race and talk. And so in my mind, those are some of my favorite memories from back then. Even though I was kind of just an observer and a young kid about it, but what are some of your favorite memories from that era when, you know, kind of the transition of Dad moving out of the Xfinity car, y'all, but right before, right before Jeff Green comes to drive the car, when y'all had a couple race cars in the shop, and big DEI buildings, they weren't built, none of that was there. What's some of your favorite memories from those days?
Well, I think the most races we ever ran was like 14, and those were probably run when we were still at Martha's.
Yeah.
After we moved out there, he started wanting to scale back a little bit. He didn't want to run as many. So we was running like, 10, 11, 12 races. He always wanted to run to Rockingham. He always wanted to run Darlington. He said that was a timing deal. He said, you need to work on that. He said, it don't matter what kind of car you're driving. You drive Rockingham, Darlington, you drive it the same way. It don't matter what car you're driving. So he says, it gets me in a rhythm for Sunday. So we always had to run Rockingham. We always had to run Darlington. And so we had those four. And then whatever else he picked, we'd get somebody to give us some money to run or whatever. The best part about it is he never really tore anything up. I mean, so we just come back and service it. So, a couple days, car's ready to go again. But we'd end up farming. I mean, we pulled barbed wire fences, we cut hay, whatever needed to be done. That's what we did when the car was ready to go. That's what we did. We enjoyed it. It's fun, But the 5 o'clock deal was he was going to work on that farm all day on Monday because that was his Saturday. He called that his Saturday. So he worked on the farm all day on Monday, and he said, don't y'all leave till I get back with you. So if it was 6 o'clock or whatever, we had to be there when he was going up because he wanted somebody to hang out with him. So that's how the Monday deal started. Well, everybody got to figuring out that we was hanging out on Monday, so people leaving work, they'd stop it. So the next thing you know, picnic table ain't big enough. So then everybody got to stopping, and crew chiefs from other teams, and just all kinds of people coming in, hanging out.
Yeah.
Rusty would come, Michael would come, and Kenny Walls would come. There was all the time somebody different, coming in just to hang out, having a beer before they go home or whatever. So.
The some of the better memories I had was one time we was racing street stock cars. I had my street stock car, and Kelly wasn't racing yet. Me and Kerry were sharing a car, or had 2 cars at one point. Todd Savage, who was Dad's carpenter, had an old Ford that he was racing, and that one time Dad walked by and shot the gas tank out of that Ford. I think Dad asked Todd Todd had the trunk open, and Dad asked Todd where the gas tank, where's like safe tank was, like the plastic, the good racing tank. Todd said, I ain't gonna put one in it. And so he shot a hole through the quarter panel and through the stock fuel tank.
Yeah.
So that he would put a safe tank in it. The
funny part about that is Todd was up inside of the car.
Scared out of it.
And he was welding the back he was spotting the back firewall in. So he's up in there. He don't even see us. He's got his helmet down. He's in there. He's spotting that firewall. And he walked by and he shot through that thing.
Yeah.
And Todd thought the gas tank had blew up. What happened?
I remember we wrecked. We were racing at Concord. Tony Jr. had a late model stock car, beautiful car that he had built, and he had built out of nothing. And so y'all were out on the weekends or at the farm shop, either messing, getting his car ready or whatever. But I had we had a double header or something. We raced Friday night and Saturday night at Concord, and I got in a wreck, knocked the damn horns off my car. And I remember you helping me pull it straight with a porta power. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, Tony Sr., you were an intimidating guy back then. And I was always pretty nervous to be around you because I wasn't sure what you thought of me. But you didn't have to help me do those things, but you wanted to make sure that it was getting done right. And I don't know that I was always as appreciative as I should have been, or aware of how lucky I was to even just have a race car and be around you guys and learn what I was learning. One time in particular that I'll never forget, and I wanted to talk to you about this, and I don't think we talked about this on the show last time. We might have. I can't remember. I got some notes in front of me from our 2019 conversation, but I went down to Hargett's to race, Gary Hargett's. We had an old shop, old race car, and we didn't have nothing. And at least that's what it felt like. And Gary and I was tearing up, and we went through a bunch of, you know where I'm going probably after I tell you, but we was going through a lot of duct tape. And I said, and Gary knew I was up around y'all's shop, and he said, get some duct tape when you're up there. And I was so scared to ask y'all for duct tape. And so I thought, man, I think it's a better idea if I go look for a used roll of duct tape, one that ain't even full. Y'all had some brand new rolls upstairs. And I went over to where you kept your crash cart or your toolbox that would go up in the hauler, and found a half-used roll of duct tape and started walking back across the shop, walking across the parking lot to my truck. And you met me outside, and you told me that I did not need to take things from your shop. And do you remember that day?
I don't remember that.
God, boy, you ripped my ass. And but I told the guys here in the studio earlier today when we were talking about you coming on as guest, I was like, man, I was so thankful for that. Of course, Dad was intimidating, and he held me accountable, but he wasn't always around. And I was really lucky that I was really lucky that you set that standard and expectation. You did that with Tony Jr. You held him accountable, and he's who he is today because of that. You were his main parental, guidance in his life for all those years. And he was really lucky to be able to work side by side with you in that shop. But I always appreciated. I didn't want to disappoint you back then. I don't know that I appreciated the accountability, but I do now. There's a lot of directions that I could have went as a kid or a teenager, and I'm thankful for people like you in my life that held me to a certain standard and expected certain things from me. And man, I was really, really lucky that we got to race together, because then I got it every day instead of just every once in a while. There's a story about when I've told the story seems like several times this year, of when I found out I was going to drive your car. And so I've been running my late model car, and I've been racing my little, my race here and there in my little Bush car, and you gave me a car to run at Michigan that I had a good day with, and we did a couple other fun things. So I'd done something to get somebody's attention.
Trying to go to bed?
I'd done something.
Yeah.
I remember.
Dude, where did all the coal
when
go?
I go to race at Michigan and run top 10, and then when I go to Bristol and set up,
I had like a
on the front
shitload
row,
of coal, and I don't know where it
somewhere
went.
I wrecked early, but
Where was that coal at?
So I'm doing those things.
I don't even remember.
That day, me and Wesley and Bono. You're watching.
I might have took some from somewhere, but I forgot where. You can come take some
Did you
back.
think-
I just need some
Is that
for
what gave you the
just a few
confidence
torches
or
under the enchantment
comfort
place.
to
So
think maybe I could
Mobs
drive
You
your
can
will
car?
come
I
get
mean,
some.
Y'all
Some
didn't
furnaces.
put anybody, and you wanted to go win.
Just
You
don't take
didn't
all
want
of
a
it.
damn
let's do
project,
15.
and you didn't
Got
want to
some
have
sticks
to
in here, by chance.
No, down here in this wood right here.
Flame out and have a bad experience for all of us. So I mean, are you watching in those couple of events that I
Appreciate
ran in '97?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I mean, nobody ever saw me race much in late models, and there wasn't a lot there to watch.
Yeah, I mean, we only seen you run the late model a few times at like Myrtle Beach when all the Bush Series was there or something. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Until Tony Jr. got his little late model, we started playing with it. So we really never seen you race that much. But I mean, I think we all kind of knew it was going to come down to the day that he was going to put you in it.
I never thought that I was doing enough.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't think I was doing enough, like, performance-wise. And I don't think I was certainly character-wise deserving of it. I mean, I wasn't the worst kid in the world, but, you know, I hadn't really earned this opportunity. But I was kind of curious. You had a conversation with Dad where he was like, hey, who you want? What do you want to do?
well, it really wasn't a conversation. He, I think he had it in the back of his mind the whole time. that
Where
he-
were y'all at when this happened?
We was in the bush shop at Chicken House.
Yes.
I think the whole time his plan was he was gonna put you in that car.
He wanted
When
to
y'all
do
went-
your idea?
When y'all went to Charlotte and y'all wrecked that car, and y'all came home and went over and sat down,
Yeah.
that killed that guy.
Oh, man.
I'm telling you, he was so disappointed. I mean, that ripped that man's heart out. I mean, I'm telling you, you was going in that car, but me and him had a conversation about it, and he was not happy. Which I knew, you knew he wasn't happy, but he let you know he wasn't happy. But
Yeah.
and he came back. I don't know. It was probably a couple weeks later, and he walked in there and he says, "What do you think about putting Dale Jr. in this car?" And I said, "Dale, you spent money on Jeff Green. You spent money on Steve Park. Why don't you spend your money on your own kid?" I said, "Why you want to go spend it on somebody else?" He goes, he brings that Charlotte deal up. I mean, it's like, they don't want to do this. I said, "Dale, they're kids. Put him in it. Spend your money on him. Quit spending it on other people's kids. We'll go see."
Yeah.
I said, "We'll know in a year." I said, "We'll know in a year if he's got it or not." I said, "We got a good baseline now. Steve's got us a good baseline. You gonna move him on?" I said, "Plug him in. Let's go." I don't think his mind was set to do it when he walked out of there, but he thought about it for a little while, you know.
So when I walked into the shop that day, it feels like it was in the middle of January, might have been December. It seemed like Daytona was soon. And y'all was standing there. If I might be wrong about how this happened, but I feel like I walked in that shop and you and Tony Jr. was standing there, and y'all told me, and you told me to turn around, and I looked, and there was my name on the roof of one of them cars. That was a cool moment. When I saw that, and I really wasn't sure to believe it at first, but I looked at you and Tony Jr., and especially Tony Jr. in that moment was y'all were excited. I couldn't believe that this is what was getting ready to happen to me. I remember that day at Charlotte. There were two wrecks at Charlotte. I wrecked your black car, and I ran 4 laps and crashed. And then, and I thought my racing career was over when that happened. And then when I wrecked that car at Charlotte that year, and Dad was so upset about, I really felt like that my career was over. You know, because we're standing there, and that car's wrecked. Y'all still have practice happening. You know, there's still going on. Y'all are doing y'all's thing with your car. And me and Wesley are standing there like, what do we do? What do we do now? And I guess we'll load it up. I don't know what we're supposed to do. And it felt like that it didn't matter to this isn't to you personally, but it's like it didn't matter to anybody in that whole freaking track that had just happened. And we didn't have anybody saying, all right, load it up, take it back, do this, do that. And so, and I didn't have the self-awareness to know what to do next. And I really thought that, like, I wanted to be a race car driver so bad, and it wasn't going to happen for me. And it was really over. And so I went home and was going to just be sad to myself. And Dad walked in there, and I knew it was going to see his first step. I mean, you can hear him when you hear him, you hear him. And I knew he was going to be pissed. But we had a really good conversation. I know that that was probably the one thing that, I hated the most about our relationship is that I couldn't do the right thing in those moments that would give him confidence, right? I was often choosing the wrong reaction, and often in a lot of ways, and he would just go, man, damn, why do you think about it that way, or why do you choose this instead of that? And like, he was right. Like, if he tore that car up, he would have been the one cutting it in pieces to fix it. He would have taken it apart and figured out how to beg, borrow, and steal to get it back to race it again. And I
Holy
didn't
shit.
have that.
What?
I
Thunder?
didn't have that.
Yeah, it was right next to me.
Awareness of that mentality. And so that was a key moment, though. I think that even though that happened, the conversation we had on the back porch was a good one that we had never had before.
Yeah.
And I just needed to hear it from you that, we had some pretty honest comments, I guess, that I just, you don't have those conversations regularly. But I get in your car and we go to the racetrack. We go to Daytona, and I think my first 5 or 6 restrictor plate races, I wrecked the car. But we went to Daytona and we flipped upside down. I broke the yoke on pit road off the rear end housing trying to get out of the pit stall, which is probably my fault, but because of the gears. We have a really bad experience, and then we go to Rockingham and we have another struggle. Rockingham was hard. God, I had some rough days at Rockingham, even in the Bud car. I think the only top 5 I ever had at Rockingham was the last race we run there before they stopped going. We finally had like a 5th place finish, and I thought, finally figured it out. And then we went to Vegas, I think, and ran second to Jimmy Spencer. That for me was the race where it kind of, I finally was like, I can do it. When were you and the guys feeling like that this might actually work? I guess, when did you kind of start to, because I don't know that you could have seen it in Daytona or at Rockingham. And I was in over my head, overwhelmed, tons of pressure.
Anybody here ever had a doubt? I mean, I don't know if you remember.
Holy shit, I just got the lightning right next to me.
You can win the championship
We can go to sleep.
Yeah.
if you don't blow it in the first 6 races.
Alright.
And it seemed like every year that we ran for the championship, we got so far behind in the first 4 or 5 races, and it was just like, you can't catch up.
Yeah.
So that was in the mind. If we can just get through the first 6 races and not get behind, we got a chance to win this championship.
I love being with y'all because y'all knew how to have fun. Y'all knew how to fun and still win. Y'all knew how to have fun and enjoy. Look, it was a grind, but y'all had a good group of guys. Everybody had fun, got along. We ate it. We ate together on the weekends, on Friday night or Saturday night, and everybody was together, and laughing and picking. Of course, you and Tony Jr. is gonna always be keeping things light. But we would go and perform. We would kick ass. I remember one fond memory that I have was we went to South Boston and tested, and we had his drop snout car, the redheaded stepchild that we were running, and we were practicing we'd practice for most of the day, and then near the end of the day, we were going to run some mock runs. We were going to tape up the car and put some stickers on and make a couple mock runs. And they had just repaved this racetrack, and we went out there and ran, and man, we weren't fast at all. And I told Tony Jr. I felt like the tires felt flat.
Yep.
And so he blew them up like 10 more pounds, and we went out there and hauled ass. I mean, we had them inflated for qualifying already, but I was like, it just don't feel like there's enough air in the tires. And I wasn't the kind of driver that would be able to say, yeah, it don't feel like there's enough split in rear springs, or it needs right front compression, or things like that. I mean, I did learn over time with Tony Jr. some of the things that I appreciated in cars, like preloading the bar and stuff like that. That was always like my crutches. But I would always tell you guys, like, you know, it feels like it's driving through mud, or it feels, you know, I always had these weird analogies to try to help y'all understand the sensation that's happening. And I don't know, it seemed to work. But I remember we ended up sitting on the pole and winning that race. I watched that race on YouTube a couple weeks ago. And I just always kind of, that was one where Jeff Green almost beat us at the end, but we ended up winning. I feel like I was a good little race car driver, but I still am amazed, I guess, by how much the car and the pace and the speed of the car helped make everything easier. Y'all had worked with Steve, and you had gotten a baseline, and y'all had good speed in some of your cars, but the speed the car had in 98, 99 was better. We built some cars, some.
You
short
blocked
track
off
cars
this
that
cave
already
down
built
here?
in With Park right at the end
Which
of that
one?
hill.
The one
That
below you?
helped, but
With the
number
wall.
one car, remember the
Yeah.
one car we always took to Atlanta and places like
The
that. I
solo
mean, just
monsters wouldn't be
just lights out quick.
coming over here.
I wasn't a driver that felt like I really knew how to put a race together. I mean, if you give me too many opportunities to crash it or tear it up, I probably could do it. But, you know, as we're cruising through that first year, and we really were getting in position where it looked like we had a shot to win the championship. How did you guys have that much confidence that we could do it? Because I didn't even have that confidence in myself that we could. I certainly didn't have it before Daytona. You know, to tell me, hey man, if you don't screw it up, we can win a championship. I'm like, shit, I just want to make it. You know, I just want to damn win a race. You know, I always thought if you won one race, you could be a driver at least the rest of your life. But like when we're getting on in the year and y'all were sitting there with a shot at winning the championship, I mean, I don't know. I look back on it now and I have a hard time believing it happened.
Well, I mean, we had good cars. We did our own bodies. You know, Ron Hutter was doing engines then. We had, whenever Steve was there, we only had one Hutter engine. And
Running it every handful.
we just run it at the 1.5 mile track. So everywhere else we went, we run Jack Tants or Dennis Fishers or whoever's we had.
That's a big difference.
And there was a big difference in those. And I mean, nothing wrong with Jack Tan motor. Jack Tan built some good motors, but it just seemed like that one Hutter motor we had was just so much better at the 1.5 mile stuff. So the following year, then we got all Hutters. So I mean, that was a big difference.
Yeah. What do you remember, if anything, about conversations that you had with Dad around that time frame? Like when, I mean, you know, he would come to Victory Lane. I always talk about this. He would come to Victory Lane and he wouldn't stick around. You know, he'd come in there, high five you, hug you, tell you something. You know, I'm proud of you. But I mean, are there moments during the week or back at home where y'all, you know, he's like, damn, you know, I mean, y'all gonna win this championship? I remember him. I'm asking that because I remember him reading articles about him in 1980 when he's sitting there driving Osram's car, and he got mid-year and he went, I could freaking actually do this. Like I'm having a great year, but I really think I could win a championship this year. Like he'd never had that opportunity to even have that occur to him. And so I'm wondering maybe when it might have happened in that time frame in 98 or 99 when we're sitting there racing for a title. Because I swear, man, I mean, 12 months before that, the middle of 97, this ain't happening, right?
Right.
And he's wondering where the hell I'm going to end up, right? What I'm going to become in life. And so I'm wondering if y'all had any conversations around that about his excitement or surprise or.
Well, I mean, he was the leader, and every Monday morning when I walked in the shop, he'd be sitting there waiting on me.
Really?
And he would make his comments about what he thought about the weekend, and then I'd tell him what I thought about the weekend. We just had a little discussion for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then, okay, on to the farm. He'd be gone.
Yeah.
But I mean, even up through the Budweiser days, he was in the shop on Monday morning waiting on me.
Really?
And I mean, just a little debriefing,
Yeah.
I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was our leader, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, review live, play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you're placing your bets. Get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/Dale. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit.
Dude, I don't know what to do with the roof on this place.
Non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
You can do that roof. That's like the tall slant going down to the left, and then like the small slant going down to the right. Do you know what I mean or no?
Y'all's
Yeah.
confidence. You
I
and
don't
Tony
know.
Jr. Y'all were a package.
I'm gonna see what I can figure out. I'm gonna make it birch.
And we raced in the Xfinity Series in 98, 99. We go to the racetrack, and you and Tony Jr. thought that car should be at the top of the sheet in practice. It should win the pole and it's win the race. And then the car you loaded up to take us into the racetrack was supposed to do that. You know, we get into the Cup Series, and y'all's attitude about it didn't change. You went into that Cup garage with the same thought about how y'all should perform. And I mean, you knew just as well as I did how completely different those two garages were. Why did you think you could go into the Cup garage and just do whatever do it as well, I guess, as you had been doing it in the Xfinity garage?
It didn't matter who was driving, we'd always did good. I mean, we were brought up with your dad, he expected, that's what he expected. So we was a young group, cocky group. I mean, we just all had it in our heads that we could do it. We can do this. And like you say, we won those 2 championships, and then we went in that Cup garage, and we got her waiting. They woke us up when we got over there.
Oh, yeah.
But we went in there just as cocky as we was when we left Homestead in 99.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked in there, and we're going to be king over here, but we got woke up real quick. So we had to work. I mean, we worked hard together. A young group, loved to work. All of them, like you say, they all got along together. Once time the van doors opened, everybody got in.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to be together, So they all worked together. Everybody knew each other. It was just a good group. We had very little turnover. So we kept the main guys together all the time. I think that made a lot of difference.
Yeah.
The other teams we had over there were revolving doors. They were just the equipment that we had when we ran the Bud car. It's just like when Tony Jr. went to Hendricks and interviewed for the job when y'all left DEI. He come back and he walks up to me and he says, "Pat me on the back," and he's patting me on the back the whole time. I said, "What?" He says, "We're patting each other on the back because you won't believe what I just seen." He said, I want you to know, you won't believe what I just seen, what we've been racing against, and we beat them. And he says, we don't have nothing. We don't have nothing here. He said, I'm telling you. He said, man, we beat them. But the way we beat them is we tested.
Yeah.
I mean,
we did test.
we didn't have sim, we didn't have simulation, we didn't have none of that. We had a very small engineering group, and that was just something that never got developed.
Yeah.
Your dad talked about it. We got to do this, we got to do that, and then after he was gone, and every meeting is we got to do this, we got to do that, but nothing just never happened, you know. So only thing we could do was work hard and do the best we could do, and that's what we did.
Yeah. We had some really fast cars, man. We were talking about our favorite victories, and it's hard for me to really have like one that stands at the top. The All-Star race, the 2001 July race, the Daytona 500 in 04, Dover. Is it easy for you to pick one?
Definitely the Daytona 500, but the Winston at Charlotte and the first Texas, I mean, those stand out. I'll never forget the grin on that man's face when I seen him coming up in there at Texas for that first one. And that made every bit of it worth it. I mean, when I seen him walking up through there with that big old grin on his face, and he grabbed me around the neck, it's been worth every minute of it.
Yeah.
But that Winston race, as bad as we were,
You go to bed.
I mean, we had a 7-lap car, 6-lap car, and it was
I don't think I have a bed on me in the cave.
and ended up winning it.
We
On
run
the Saturday.
third in the first segment, and I hit the wall. Remember, we
Yeah.
run second or third in like the first couple of segments. I know a lot of people know about this, but maybe everybody was doing it. But we were testing the week before at Charlotte, and it was dark, and we was getting ready to load up, but we had about an hour to go. And Tony Jr. said, "I'm gonna take all the fuel out of it. I want you to go out there and run it for 10 laps." And we went out there and it flew. And I said, "Man, it drives perfect. It really does." I was like, "If you don't run out the deck, if you don't have a lot of cautions or something," I was like, "This is really nice." And so that was, I guess that's kind of how we strategized to put ourselves in the best position to be more. We had third place car, I think, in that race.
Yeah.
But when we took the fuel out of it, and I'm sure some other people were trying to do that too. I don't know. You might have you'd know better than I would.
Yeah.
But and we did put tires on with 8 laps to go, but the damn thing flew.
Yeah, we was out of tires.
Yeah.
And that caution come out. Rusty had fell out of the race, and they were pitted beside us. Well, everybody stacked their tires up against the wall for Champion to pick them up. So Rusty and them had their tires stacked up against the wall, and the caution come out. We was out of tires. Said, "Get them 4 over there." So we stole 4 tires
You
from
didn't
Rusty.
even ask them?
No, they were gone. They were all gone. So we just got 4 Rusty's tires, put them on there, and won that race. And we was over there at the inspection deal. It was funny. We was standing over there, and I don't even remember which one of them it was. One of the guys from the 2 car. So over and said, "What y'all do? Soak them tires on that last run?"
Lord.
We started laughing. Tony Jr. looked at him and he said, "But if they got soaked, it was y'all. Cause look at them, they had 2s on."
Damn, that's hilarious.
That was when Benny Parsons got on his race show talking about they need to limit tires, how many tires we used that night in that race, because we used a lot.
We did. I always felt like that the Daytona race in July and the Daytona 500, I mean, all the Talladega wins, we put so much effort, into. You'd have 3 days of testing every January in Daytona, and you have to do something with your time, and we filled it. You guys would have 12 air boxes to try and 30 puffs, body panels and pieces, and we'd go down there with a list, and you wasn't even going to finish that list. Talking about testing, you guys made the most out of everything. We know that racing at Daytona and Talladega was important to Dad. I mean, did he have conversations with you where he's like, "Hey, we got to run good at these 2 places"?
The first year in 2000, our cars wasn't very good at Daytona and Talladega. Well,
Dad was.
let's say the first 3 races we weren't very good.
We went to Daytona and everybody was plowing. Dad was pissed off, said the cars weren't right. And he was mad at me.
That's when
It wouldn't help nobody.
he had that rad deal going between Andy and Richard and us. On Monday we was sitting at that picnic table. Everybody left left this shop and would go over to the Deerhead shop 5 o'clock, just like we always did. So we went over there and we're sitting at this picnic table, and we get to talking about Daytona, how bad we had run it. It made Talladega, how bad we'd run at Talladega. Cars didn't run good. And so he started talking about what he felt in the car. And he says, I'm going to tell you why Richard Childress outruns these guys at Daytona and Talladega. And he says, his cars don't slow down. He said, I've been in other people's cars and drove them at Daytona and Talladega. And he said, when you turn the wheel, the car slows down. He said, Richard's cars hardly lose any RPM in the corner. So I said, well, how much you talking? He said, maybe 300. They might lose 300 RPM in the corner, 3 or 4. He said, other cars I've drove lose 7 and 8. He said, and that's where we beat them. He said, that's where we beat those guys. He said, you gotta make your car run when it's in y'all. Okay. Well, I mean, he didn't know what they were doing to the bodies. He just knew what it did on the racetrack, you know. Well, we would look at them wind tunnel sheets, and then they would do that build sheet between all the teams. We look at them, and everybody's look the same. You know, everybody's doing the same thing. Put the roof to the right, hood to the left, tail to the left. You know, just all crooked. And so we go to the wind tunnel. Must have been before the Daytona 4th race. So we go to the wind tunnel, work on the car. We're trying to get it better. But they always turn the car to the right first. They turn it 5 degrees, and then they turn it back straight, and then 5, 10, 15. So when they turn the car to the right, it loses drag. So we're sitting there looking at it, and me and Tony Jr. and Tom and Will. And Tom goes, we just need to figure out how to make the thing run to the right. So we went back. I think they cut it off. We put the thing back on there. I don't remember what all they did. We went back to the tunnel, and they took like half of it out of it. So it would turn to the right. It would only lose like 2 or something, and then straighten it back up. So we went back. So we was having a discussion sitting there at the table talking about it. I said, well, it sounds to me like we just need to turn the whole car. I said, why can't we just take the body and turn it? Well, you got to offset this way and that way. And I said, I ain't talking about doing no offset. Just build it straight and just turn the whole car. I said, just make the car run to the left. I mean, to the right. And they going, I don't know if we can do that or not, keep all them templates fitting. I said, well, that's what we need to try to do. Tony Jr. went over there with them. They went in that fab shop, and they chopped that thing off. And this was after Daytona. They chopped it off, put that thing back on there, and we went to the wind tunnel. And when it would turn to the right or straight, it stayed the same. It didn't move. It didn't change a bit. When the GM would give that sheet out, it'd be like 20 cars, and we was always right in the middle, somewhere around in the middle. Well, when they gave that sheet out, we went all the way to the top. So that's the car we took to Talladega when Skinner run you below the line. That Dale ended up winning.
Yeah.
That was that car. They were gonna go to the RAD meeting. Well, Will comes over there and he says, I gotta go to this RAD meeting. I gotta have the build sheet on that car. He said, they're throwing a fit, want a build sheet on my car. I said, they ain't getting a build sheet on that car. I said, no. I said, take that one off that backup car. He goes like, they gonna know it. They gonna know it ain't the one. I said, well, whatever you do, you don't give them that build sheet off that car. I said, we got to race them 2. I said, that's the 2 we race. Every time we go there, that's the 2 we got to beat. So he takes the build sheet, puts the car number on top of it, puts quarter heights on it, roof heights, stuff like that. And he goes to the meeting and they ask for that sheet and he hands it. There ain't no numbers on it. Oh, they got mad. They was mad. Well, instant they called Dale up. So he comes flying in the shop. He's mad. He's mad.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's mad. I'm telling you, the friendship that me and him had, if we we hadn't had it, I think I'd have got fired that day. That's how mad he was.
Damn.
He was that mad. And he wanted to know if I didn't know who paid me. He said, do you not know who pays you? I said, yeah, I know who pays me. He goes, well, do you not know who drives that 3 car? And I said, yeah, I know who drives the 3 car. He goes, well, I want to know why you can't give a bill sheet to my owner for the car I drive. And I said, you know how hard we worked to get that car? I said, we worked really, really hard. He goes like, I don't care how hard you work. That bill sheet, they need that bill sheet because I want one of them myself. I said, why don't we just build you one? He goes like, no, you can't do that. He goes, we got to be honest in this group here. So I said, okay. So we never actually gave them the one for the back car. We gave them one close to it.
Yeah.
And then they started figuring it out, you know. It didn't take long. I mean, they smart. They wasn't dumb. But they figured it out after they seen that one sheet. But and then that's the car we built for Michael. So he came in there and he said, I need y'all to build Michael one of those cars for Daytona. We're gonna run. Michael's gonna run here next year. So we built that car for Michael. So y'all had identical cars there.
Damn.
But I believe that's the maddest I ever made him.
Yeah.
Still in that cave?
He was not happy over that.
No.
We also
You gonna
had
go to bed?
an engine
Yeah.
that I still have, number 11, I think. When it's all said and done, there's nothing different in that motor than all the other motors they built for that race weekend or any race weekend, Talladega, Daytona. But you and Tony Jr. wanted what you wanted. Number 11 was y'all's motor. You know, there was a couple instances, I guess, during the whole time we were there where y'all were like, no, that's what we're gonna use. That motor's going to be in our car. How did that not become a problem, right? Inside of an organization that's got a couple cars racing, got a lot of employees, getting bigger, more people coming in. You got other people coming in that don't really know the culture as you know it.
What?
But like, how could you call dibs on a motor?
Well, I don't know. We did, but I mean, Richie laughed about it. He thought it's funny, but you know, the engine shop, they were just like us. They thought they could build something better.
All the time.
Yeah, we're gonna build you a new one. It's gonna be better. So the whole time we kept hollering for that motor, they were making it better. I mean, they were just working on that one. But Richie just, you know, he laughed about it. He said, I can't believe y'all, you know.
Yeah.
But he called me over there, and I guess that's when it had a crack in the block crack.
Freeze
on it.
plug.
Yeah, something was cracked
Yeah.
on it. So he called me over and he said, she's gone. He said, she's gone. You ain't gonna get her no more. He was showing it to me. Dang.
Y'all, what I got told was it pushed the freeze plug out, and y'all could put it back in, but it was a risk. Like, we could have tried to run it, but it was a risk.
Yeah, he was telling me something about it had a crack or something.
Yeah.
So he said, we're gonna build you a new one, and I promise you it'll be better.
But we changed motors at the track, and that we won the 4th Talladega in a row without number 11.
Yeah. But when we got so dominant, it's just like when you talk about that one car, it was just so much faster than everybody else. Richie called me over there and he said, I want to show you something. He said, I want to show you what I got. He said, we worked to get 1, 2, 3 horsepower. He said, we worked hard to get that. He said, it's very, very, very hard to get. He said, you get a plate motor that's 3 horsepower better, it's good. He said, it's a lot better. He said, I want to show you what I got. And he carried me in there and he showed me that motor. The dyno sheets on it. And that motor was 10 horsepower better.
Number 11.
It was 10 horsepower better. And it run like it too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why we hollered for it all the time.
Yeah. It was like there for a while you just you pull out, do anything you wanted with the car. It was pretty easy, pretty amazing. Man, I've enjoyed talking to you.
All right, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I hope that y'all enjoy seeing that Bud car out on the racetrack, and maybe we'll run if you don't get to Florence this year, might end up running it again next year one time somewhere, and maybe we can get a picture or two or something like that out there next to it, because we had a lot of great memories driving that car, and working on that car and trying to figure out how to make it go fast. A lot of stuff that I still don't know. Like I'm still talking to you today, hear news stories that you know going on in the shop and behind the scenes to try to make that thing go fast. And it's amazing to me some of the hard work that you and Tony Jr. did to find an edge. Y'all were really sharp at it. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming today, and I'll see you at the short track.
All right. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Tony Sr. on the Dale Jr. Download. All right, so that was a great conversation with Tony Uri Sr. and you know, fun to catch up with him. It's you know, been interesting how our lives have kind of changed so much over the years, and seeing him at a short track and involved and helping a race team or a race car get around the racetrack at that age makes me feel good. And yeah, he's quiet and he had some great stories, some things that I didn't know, talking about the engines and the body on the speedway cars and stuff like that. A lot of the stories from how they were developing our team and getting our team better. And I certainly wasn't around and listening to all those things happen in real time, but I know that he's packed full of those stories. Just trying to get them out of this guy can be the challenge. But I just like being around him and appreciate him. I don't know that he accepts compliments all that well. You know, it's kind of, you know, if you ever, maybe people listening to this show can maybe appreciate this, because we all have relationships in our lives, and whether it's an uncle or your father or you know, your grandfather or your best friend, you know, really trying to get down to the root of the relationship and share with them how much you appreciate them can be difficult. You know, it is with Tony Sr. You know, I think the world of him, and trying to tell him that is never easy. And he doesn't receive it. You know, he's not interested in you know, that part. But I hope he appreciates it. Well, only he knows. So it's you know, I don't know. We'll have to talk again. We'll have to see if you know, he's got more short stories that he wants to share. But it's like another lifetime. It's like a whole another lifetime ago when me and him worked together on a race car and raced together. And I've missed those days badly, and I would have to admit I daydream about what it might be like to go back to a racetrack driving a car that him and Tony Jr. are wrenching on. I do daydream about that because I know how good they are and how much fun we had, and how fun it might be for us to go compete somewhere and be competitive. But and it's not entirely out of the question, I guess, for that to happen now that we are kind of both playing in the same sandbox. I don't know that I'll ever race a super, but there's always an opportunity or chance to race a pro somewhere, especially with the Cars Tour next year or beyond. So maybe we figure that out. But I hope you enjoyed it. Good catching up with him. He still looks like he's in great shape, mentally and physically, moving really well. So always good to see. I want to say thanks to Ally for everything they do for us here at the Dale Jr. Download. Always great to have them supporting us, and they do so much in our industry. Obviously sponsoring Alex Bowman over at Hendrick Motorsports, but they've been a great partner here at the Dale Jr. Download, and we certainly can't do this without them. They brought us a great ally on the show this weekend, and no matter what you're saving for, whether it's race tickets, it's a new car that you're looking at, or you're saving up for your first home or a new home, we are all better off with an ally. All right, it's time for the white flag, dropping Sunday after the race to Teardown with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi, and Actions Detrimental as well with Denny Hamlin. Monday, Door Bumper Clear. Those guys got their show off and running. Great recap. Yeah, that was crap. Their show. A good recap from Vegas. And then dropping yesterday, Dirty Air. We talked about Vegas as well. We had Joe Logano call in. And then Speed Street with Connor Daly and Chase Holden comes out today. Tomorrow, DJD Reloaded with Ask Junior and more. If you missed Ask Junior live on YouTube, you can catch it up on DJD Reloaded and what else is going on that show. And Dirty Mo Doe. All the best bets for this upcoming race weekend from Tampa Tim's in the game. A new episode of Andrew Curlin went there from Corey LaJoy's Kickball Classic. That is on Next Level's YouTube page. Next Level's YouTube page. Go see that now. Andrew Curlin went there from Corey LaJoy's Kickball Classic. Remember to leave us a 5-star Apple review, and we'll read it on the show. Tim sent us one. I didn't follow a driver until Junior started, and I enjoyed his whole career. I didn't follow much after his retirement. I started listening to the podcast a couple of years ago, and it sparked an interest in the sport again. I'm thankful for the podcast. They keep the fire lit. That is a great review. I mean, man, if we are helping people enjoy this sport, we're doing it right. I'll be honest with you. And I take that really seriously. I think there's sometimes when I may get a little off path. I may do some things that might be, in Denny Hamlin's words, detrimental to the sport. But I'll be honest, my hope is that what we're doing here is an asset and a compliment to NASCAR racing. And I'm glad to hear that from you, Tim. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
You're on the Please Confirm YouTube channel.
We got a last-minute addition to the Keeley Visual Indy 800. Tony MF and Stewart, brother. Wow. Let's go. I've never been a NASCAR driver, but I'm about to. He's racing.
Big deal.
I'm fired up. Give me a driver graphic. We gotta get this posted. Woo! Hell yeah. Alright, that's all I got. Tony texted me, he goes, "You guys have a spare car if I'm able to race this weekend?" I said, "You're damn effing right. I have a car for you, brother. This is America. If the smoke can race, we got a car."
That's right.
And he said, "I'm in."
Nice.
But done.
Found out late last night.
Can you-
Tony, he hit up Cletus is
Yeah.
like, "You don't
Bit
happen
done.
to have an extra car lying around that I could possibly go out there and run?" And Cletus is like, hell yeah, brother, get out here on track. And there you see it. Tony Stewart is going to be, he's going to be out here.
Hey,
tonight.
when you leave your tower, look at the volcano.
Yeah.
Is that tall enough? Or do I need to go a little bit taller?
I feel like that's maybe you can make it cone a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
like
I was gonna
5,
go
6,
up a little
7
bit.
more blocks.
Like skinnier, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Excited. So you are starting in the back of
Damn
the
it.
pack, but you got the most laps here, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, a lot of levels.
Cool.
10.
Here's your nitrous button right here, buddy. Don't hit it while it's off. We're idling. Only hit that when you're wide open throttle, okay? Other than that, have fun. Hey, Brent, are you gonna hit Kevin immediately or wait a few laps? You're gonna hit him right away, okay. Good call.
Well, it sounds like I got a bullseye on my back from listening to my competitors, but I don't know. My attitude, I'm going to treat them like I wanted to treat Joey Logano at California. I'm going to treat them all like little bitches.
All right, guys, we are suited and booted at the Indy 800. We're sitting in the second to last row. Tony Stewart behind us. Brad DeBerti behind us. PFI Speed behind us. And I think 16 cars ahead of us. So we're going to try to work our way through this. We don't have nitrous. I gave my nitrous system to Tony Stewart. Let's freaking do this.
19 Crown Victorias stacked up 2 by 2 throughout the field under pace car formation. and ready to turn them loose. Well, Brian, I'm so excited to be back here again, and it's great to see all the fans here.
Yeah.
What better way to get this race started and send these drivers off for 80 laps than to get up on your feet, get your cell phones out, wave your hats, wave your hands, wave your kids. Do whatever you want to do as we're ready to go. Making their way through turns 3 and 4, 19 of the fastest and best Crown Victorias in the country. Ready to go from Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. This is the Indy 800 presented by Heatwave Visual. We are green.
And we are green 4 wide down the front straight immediately as they dive into turn number 1. Jack Stan Jimmy's going to take a very tight line there, but Gray Ledbetter is holding her ground.
What's up, pal?
I have some tour dates to tell you about. I'll be in Chicago, Illinois on April 24th, Miami, Florida on May 10th, Cedar Rapids, Iowa on June 19th, St. Paul, Minnesota on out in May called People You Should Know, where he travels the country interviewing regular people who are making a difference in the world around them. It's always a good time chatting with the one and only Mr. Mike Rowe.
Oh, good.
Got me a cup of coffee.
That's how they used to do
I
it.
see. Like, you really got to work for it.
You want to be in the labor force?
You gotta heat it up.
Yeah,
That's
how
awesome.
it is.
All right,
Yeah, see?
Is there cream in there?
See, this is the difference between today. Look, this is the difference between my parents and us today. This is how you got a cup of coffee, when you, like my grandparents.
Yeah, man.
They would serve it like this.
Yep.
And you
There
figure
you
it
go.
out.
Good luck. Figure it out, man. You're on your own.
And here we are.
Well, remember the last time I was at your place, I had rolled out of the hotel, come to your house. I wasn't quite sure who you were or where I was or anything. And all I knew was I needed coffee, and you ordered some for me. And they brought it in, and it was so freaking hot. I didn't make a big deal about it, but we were like 2 minutes into our conversation. I thought, damn it, man, I literally cleaved my tongue to the roof of my mouth there for a second. I wonder if I could still be interesting. And then I just powered through and decided, you know what, it's whatever. It's just pain.
Well, thanks for doing that, man. Oh, that's the worst, bro. When you drink something so hot, but you want to be a man. That's why I think our grandfathers, no wonder they couldn't express their feelings. They couldn't talk. You know how hot the coffee was then?
It was magma.
Yeah.
And how jacked up their teeth were. They were in constant pain.
Yeah.
Like people died of their teeth back then. All the time.
Yeah. We lost at least a grandfather who was to teeth infection or to gum infection. At least.
You
But
know,
yeah, people died. It was crazy.
It's bananas. Yeah, I bit my lip the other day. And this is a funny thing for me anyway, but the first time you do it, it's annoying and it really takes you out of your meal, takes you out of your conversation.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is because you know it's going to happen again. And then when you do it again, it's a different kind of rage, right? And because it's tinged with the inevitability, like it's going to happen. And then when you bite it the third time, it's just white hot pain and like an anger at the universe, and it's irrational.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things when and maybe 4 or 5 times you're going to bite it, and it's going to be like that for the next 24 hours until your body finally sends some sort of message, and the swelling starts to go down. But it's a horrible moment in your day when you start that crucible.
It's an oral Vietnam, man. There's nothing like that. Going down that journey, the D-Day of every bite you take, and one of them is gonna step on that hidden IED of a previously bitten inner lip.
An oral Vietnam.
Can we get him some coffee? It's gonna happen again.
Some cream.
They just bring you more coffee, more. Hot
You know
coffee.
what? Maybe I should. I used to drink it black all the time, and then I went 2 creams and 1 cream. And you know what I find? It upsets people when you change your coffee order. Like the people around you in your circle. Like, I always thought you were a black coffee guy.
Oh yeah.
And now what's with the cream? Or what's with the almond milk? You don't want to do that. That sends a whole different message.
Yeah, definitely. In some communities, that is not good.
Well, there's no.
It's not good.
There's no nipples on the almond.
Yeah, and if you're looking for him, you are a Randy character.
Well, you can't. I mean, curiosity would require some kind of cursory inspection from this milk delivery system with no nipples. Oh, look at you, Zach. That's amazing. Thank you very much.
Where do you get those out of? Did you go into the cow?
I saw the one we had was expired, so I was.
Did you really?
Oh my!
You went to the corner to get me some of these little poisonous pods. These are good. There's a whole.
Oh yeah.
Why is everything?
They have melatonin in them now. I'm like,
Everything.
should coffee creamer have melatonin in it?
Isn't that the stuff that makes you tired?
Yeah, it's like, what's going on?
That is a mixed message.
I know.
Here's some caffeine with a little sedative for you. We'll just let your body sort it out.
Yeah, it's where we are.
Next thing you know, you're biting through your lip, cursing the universe. Oral Vietnam, dying to your teeth.
Oh, dude.
Dude, do you have any idea how much feedback I got? I don't know if this happens to you. Like you see yourself maybe on YouTube, and it's clearly you, right? This is a thing. You're like, you don't dispute it. It's you. You did whatever it is, whatever conversation you're having.
Yeah.
But you don't have any real recollection of the conversation.
Yeah.
You're just seeing yourself, right? Like this happened to me a lot years ago when people started uploading these incidents on QVC, like in the middle of the night where I'd been, fired for various inappropriate interactions with the product.
Oh, you were on QVC?
Oh yeah. But when I look at those old clips, and I can't deny that it's me, but I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen or what I'm going to say next. It's very unusual. It's like biting your tongue.
Yeah.
There's nothing you do about it. You just sit there and you watch yourself doing things you don't remember doing, and you just hope to God you don't blow.
I didn't know you got involved in this.
Seriously involved.
This
yeah.
is the dark arts, selling jewelry to people that are high on sleeping pills.
Yeah, I mean, they're lonely hearts. They're, that look at my nails so nicely manicured and all that. That was 1989.
That's you selling those?
Or 90.
Were you going to a
they're-
Poison concert? What were you even wearing those for?
I mean, as long as you're going to do it, find the cat sack. That's when I knew my life had taken a weird turn. This was 1990. It was my first job in TV.
Was it really? That's crazy.
yeah.
Like, I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at you.
Look at that hair, right?
Where were you from, Transylvania?
So this is a lava lamp, right? And I have no idea how to behave. I just want to know if it's really hot. Well, guess what, dude? It's hot, man.
Put 2 creamers in it.
It's like that lava. I mean, obviously, it's not really lava. It's magma.
Nuh-uh.
No.
That's not lava?
I opened this thing up on the air just because it's 3 a.m, right? And you're just trying to make sense out of whatever they bring you next. It could be the Amcor negative ion generator. It could be the health team infrared pain reliever. It could be a lava lamp.
Oh, yeah, it could be a child's diaper that sorts coins.
They brought me a cat sack, KATSAK, cat sack. I thought it was a joke. It's not. It's like a grocery bag lined with Mylar, right? And your cat crawls in it, and it makes a crinkling sound, and cats love it.
That's nice.
So this is the
Bro.
kind of thing, man.
Whoa,
I
what
just,
was
I would sit
that?
there for 3 hours.
I don't
Dude,
know what
this
was that, guys. I'm
just
scared.
randomly got some torches.
There was
Wow.
no training program or anything. They would just bring
coulda
you
gave
these
you some.
things that looked like you'd get them out of that machine on the Carnival Midway with the claw.
Oh, yeah.
It was really just stuff that had failed to sell in prime time. And so if you're new, there's no training program. They just put you on in the middle of the night and they just bring you the stuff, man. One thing after the next, and you talk for 8 minutes.
I love that.
It
We
is-
should bring that back. What if we brought something like that back?
Well, I mean, QVC is still on. It's just that back in those days, no one really knew about it. They didn't have any big vendors or anything. Today, you know, they do $6-7 billion a year. It's
Do they really?
giant. It's huge. Home shopping is huge.
Wonder if we should do. What if we did a fun one on like YouTube and we sold American products that were American made, Mike?
I'm in. I'm in. Look, there are no new ideas. Like I joked the last time I was at Chapad in Nashville, it was like I really felt like you had tapped into like a Wayne's World meets Charlie Rose, right? And so all those old ideas will come back. Telethons will come back.
Oh, I love that.
Home shopping never really went away.
Telethons were great though. You'd
Oh,
call
this
up
is
and you'd be
nice.
Like, who's crippled? Sometimes my
The
stepdad would
landing
get
pad
drunk
for
or
the
whatever,
storage room.
and he'd like want
Oh,
to
yeah.
so we'd ring up
When'd you
those
add that?
telethons that were on just to,
Like
he'd be
last
like,
time I
"Alright,
played, I was
Randy,
fucking
who's
tired
crippled
of,
today?" And they'd, like,
you know,
tell you who's crippled,
fucking with that
whatever, and
shit.
they'd put $30
You know,
on
to the
that.
top floor, then you go all the way down.
Jerry Lewis doing
Even though it's only like one floor.
Yep. Jerry's kids.
Jerry's kids. He was real. I mean, he raised like a lot of money. He did a lot of good in that world. But you got in 36 hours into a telethon, right? You've been up 36 hours.
Yeah, you're on QVC then.
That's like, and I did. There were times on QVC where it snowed, and like the next host couldn't come in. So when you've been up for that long and you're on live TV and they bring you like a collectible doll, and you're hallucinating and you don't even understand that people collect dolls, but they do, right? They do. And so you're just sitting there like this doll would be next to me and her name would be Rachel and she'd be dressed up like a tramp from Little Women or something, and and you just give them stories, you know. It's
Pride
just
and Prejudice.
Exactly.
I loved
like
him as he loved me.
so Emily Bronte, or was it Charlotte?
I'm not sure. I think they dated for a while. I'm not sure who. They may have. One of them took the other one's name.
Well, this is like what you just did is exactly what I would do every night. It was free associating over whatever they brought. I wasn't a very good salesman, but I was good at like starting sentences with no clear end and just keep going. So the next thing you know, you're giving these dolls like very elaborate backstories. You know, like, you know, she's a doll that gives you just a hint of possibility. She says no, but there's yes in those eyes. And then the camera guy pushes in close, really close. And I'm sitting here like this, looking at a monitor, looking at myself, looking at the doll, and a million people are watching.
Yeah, like she's new in town.
She's new in town, and she's keen to make some friends, and there's really no telling how far she'll go. Or how far you'll let her. Because it's really up to you, caller. For 3 easy payments of $29.95, young Rachel here will be on her way to you. And whatever you do with her in the privacy of your own curio is between you and your Lord. I'm just here to tell you that she's on sale, and she looks like a sport. Alrighty, what's next?
Next up, Mike, we actually have the Princess Diana Beanie Babies that are in town.
Hey, that's
I'm trying to go to bed.
Just passing through, actually. Mike, there's not many of them.
Well, you know, aren't we all just passing through, Theo? When you really think about it, this whole notion of permanence as it relates to porcelain dolls, I think that's something we can dive into to kill 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes.
Oh, I believe that, and I'll tell you that I'll tell you this, that these
What
Beanie
the hell?
Babies are stuffed.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and hop
with,
off.
What's the?
Alright.
It's not cotton. What is it?
I got the roof done for the place, so
Oh, yeah,
I'm
styrofoam.
about
They're stuffed
done
with
for now.
styrofoam, and I'll tell you,
Go
it
check
was
it
a
out.
bold move on a
Or
manufacturer.
Russian
level.
cotton, as they call it.
That's right, because when you get it,
I
wet,
just
it
need to
swells
add
up
the
a
little
lot.
parts like
those
under the
nesting
roof
dolls in
where it
reverse.
tucks it in.
When you see that little Princess Di Beanie
But I
Baby
thought there was gonna be
swell
like
up
a wall where you
tick,
put like a
your
brick,
heart's
like
gonna
you build a
beat
boat.
with anticipation and
What?
wonder
Oh,
about
yeah,
it.
I'm gonna build it where like
See,
above
but
the
we also-
door.
she comes, if you buy her now, she comes with these 2
Uh-huh.
CIA dolls.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We're not saying anything.
You
You
go look
say
at the volcano.
potato,
I added
say
like tuff to the
Mossad.
top of
I
it
say
Oh, yeah.
cavity
to make like
search
spikes.
because with the Beanie
Oh, that's
Baby,
good.
it's really your property.
You gonna put
That's
lava
the
in there or
beauty,
what?
especially the Princess Di
Yeah,
Beanie Babies,
and then
because
lava
with a touch
dripping
of
down the
loyalty,
sides, like
well,
into the water.
they're dressed in
Nice.
purple
You
too. the
finish
color
that
of
and
the
paint
Theo.
lava source.
Oh,
That's
say it,
worth
Mike.
knowing.
Yeah, this shit was
If you order
fucking a
right
bitch
now,
to
within the
build,
next
dude.
44
Looks
seconds,
like it.
both of these CIA Beanie
Don't
Babies
wanna
will
do
be
nothing
stuffed
like
with
this ever
pure
again.
polyester or gay cotton, as they call it in some circles.
That's right. And for this week, just to mix things up a little bit, each one of these Beanie Babies, every 1 out of 100 will be stuffed with cocaine.
I'm gonna hop off too.
So
Gonna
it's
stay on, but
really going to shake things up because who knows who's
I think
going
I'm
to
gonna
get
hop
it,
off too.
and who knows what's going to happen
For
next.
sure.
Oh, I wouldn't put it in a baby's crib unless you want him to walk.
All right,
this
I'll
week.
catch you later.
That's what
Later.
I'd say.